Hallo und willkommen zurück zu Shadowrun Returns. Ich habe jetzt tatsächlich mal nachgeguckt, wie viel Kampf wir jetzt in diesen bisherigen 6,5 Stunden hatten. Und das waren knapp 40 Minuten. Das ist schon was beschämend, sage ich mal. Ein bisschen übertrieben mit dem Text, habe ich ja schon mehrfach jetzt erwähnt. Also, hoffentlich mal, dass es jetzt ein bisschen ausgeglichener wird, wenn wir jetzt hier eine Mission anfangen. Wir nehmen dieses Killer-Dings bei den Whampoa-Typen. In addition to your team, your fixer has access to a small network of mercenaries in the Kowloon area. These runners appear below your core team on the runner selection screen and can be hired on a mission-to-mission basis. As you complete missions, both your team members and the available mercenaries will periodically gain access to new equipment and abilities. Any new items, spells, weapons or weapon abilities that a runner gains will automatically be available for use the next time you take them on a mission. Ja, wir nehmen halt immer unser Standard-Team. Den könnten wir mitnehmen, Rigger. Rigger brauchen wir aber nicht, Decker reicht schon. Wir nehmen einfach die hier. Das funktioniert hervorragend. So, hier anklicken, okay. Decker. Decking 3 auch nur, okay. Ja, da was zu bezahlen ist Unsinn. Die werden wahrscheinlich so einfach werden, die Missionen. Gut, dass ich meinen Charakter hier gar nicht auswählen kann. Wurscht, confirm. You are about to travel to Whampoa Garden. Mhm. Whampoa Garden, a carnival of chrome and neon, rife with every manner of technological and artifice one can imagine. The entire area has the feel of a night market, save that chips are sold in lieu of steamed buns, and vendors hawk the latest drones rather than folk art. Something stalks these streets, hiding just out of sight. It stalks the Whampoan elders, the leaders of the band of tech-savvy squatters that have claimed this neighborhood as their own. The streets smell of ozone and fear, and those Whampoans, as you pass in the MTR station, have a haunted, furtive look in their eye. While the killer has struck only at the elders thus far, it may only be a matter of time before ordinary residents are menaced as well. Und damit geht's los. Jetzt darf ich nochmal den Charakter ausrüsten. Armor 1. Okay. Auf geht's. The streets of Whampoa Garden are slick with rain, glittering under the neon glow of myriad signs and holographic displays. The sky reflects the same glow, painting the white apartment blocks the sickly orange of sodium streetlights. The smell of grilling meat mingles with other rarer scents, ozone, engine oil and high-tech fabrication facilities. Despite the hour, there are plenty of people out and about. You can hear the calls of street vendors and touts urging people into their stores. Isobel wrinkles her nose, scowling darkly. She wraps her arms tightly around her chest, staring off into the distance. Is there a word for feeling nostalgic for a place you can't wait to leave again? I don't miss this place, but I miss the feelings I had when I lived here. Saudade, maybe? Keine Ahnung. Not that I know of. Isabel sighs heavily. This place seemed like heaven after the walled city, like the whole world had unfurled in front of me, and anywhere I turned, there was the promise of a good life. Turned out this place was just as crappy as everywhere else. Everyone was still in it for themselves. Gobbet claps a hand on Isabel's shoulder, who flinches and pulls away. There's a great life lesson, I'm serious. At the end of the day, life's a raw deal. You got yourself and a handful of friends, and that's it, nothing else. Duncan casts a sidelong glance at Isabel and Gobbet, shaking his head. You got some strange ideas about life. Sure, life's a meat grinder, but come on, there's got to be more to life than just surviving. Does there? What makes you the authority on that? Isabel waves a dismissive hand. I'm done talking about this anyway. Isabel turns forward toward you and points down the street to your left. We are looking for the Whampoan elders. They're gonna be in Whampoa itself. That's the big ship down the street. I've seen pictures. It looks like a yacht. That's a small shaped... it's a mall shaped like a boat, right? Isabel nods, lips pursed. That's the one. Somebody thought it would be clever to make a uniquely shaped mall. The elders don't want anyone to go inside without the permission. It must be pretty hard in there. I heard it's just dead. Yes. Hier sind auch mal wieder so gar keine Interaktionsmöglichkeiten. Ich meine, das sieht zwar schön aus, aber die Welt ist halt komplett tot. Ich meine, da haben sie sich mit den Dialogen so komplett textüberladen. Aber hier so ein, zwei Lupen-Dinger noch einzubauen, um zu gucken, was da ist. I don't know, I just don't feel safe here anymore. Wo man einfach Sachen angucken kann, weil das war jetzt einmal rumlaufen, sich die Bildchen angucken und dann verschwindet man aus dem Sektor wieder. Kann ja auch irgendwo nicht Sinn der Sache sein. Elder Nk. This orc woman is festooned with small circuits, tiny TRIT screens and speakers. The TRIT screens display snippets of TRIT broadcasts from every corner of the world. The tiny speakers play counterpoint with a susurrus of voices speaking Sverethil, Punjabi, Kazakh and other languages. Her expression is haggard and she fidgets with her fingers at your approach. Welcome, welcome to the Whampoa, my friend. I am Elder Nk, and these are Elders Tang and Ip. Nk gestures to the elf and human, who each incline their heads respectfully. Thank you so much for answering our request for help. We had nowhere else to turn. It's the least I could do. Under Tang's skin, glowing tattoos writhe and change shape. Tigers become cranes and move on to dragons. We are under threat, one by one. We elders are being haunted by some monster. As you may have noticed when you arrived, there's been another killing just tonight. Ip crosses his solid chrome arms. Holographic readouts dance constantly over their surface, displaying diagnostic information about their state, operating temperature, servo pressure, and a variety of other minutiae. He looks past you toward Isabel. The prodigal daughter returned once more. I didn't expect to see you back aboard the Whampoa in my lifetime, Isabel. When you disappeared, Elder Yetunde was very put out. I'm glad you're still alive. When you chose to walk your own path, I was disappointed, but I still understood why you had to leave. Ip pauses, tasting the air as he chooses his next words with care. I hope my lessons have helped you prosper. Didn't expect to be back either. Work takes your places though. Isabel shrugs. A moment later, she places a hand on her pistol, eyes trained on the Ip's shows. I don't cart this around for fun, Ip. The lessons kept me alive. Isabel blinks several times and then looks up at Hink. Her expression clouded. Where's Yetunde anyway? Expected her to be here. Hink shakes her head sadly. She reaches out a hand toward Isabel, who shrinks away from it. She's dead. So are Jan and Nakamura. And Tong was killed just tonight. So much blood. You have to stop this from continuing. Isabel's expression remains impassive, but her knuckles grow white as her hands boil up into fists. That's what we're here for. We'll stop the killings. Thank you, Isabel. Hink lifts a hand, wiping away tears from her eyes. What can you tell me about the murders? They started 2 weeks ago. The first to go was Gunn. We found him in his apartment, eviscerated. Hink swallows, grimacing after the painful memory. He'd been torn apart, his head had been ripped completely off and most of his skin flayed away. There was so much blood, it took us a week to clean out his apartment. Tang nods, running his palm over his forehead. The rest have been the same, always at night, always dismembered. Each scene is like a nightmare. And every time, nobody has been seen, it's like a ghost. What happened to Tong? The same thing that happened to the rest of the victims, evisceration and dismemberment. We sent a guard to keep people out of his shop, but he'll let you in. When did he die? Sometime early tonight. He'd locked up his shop, but Ip stopped by to ask him about some skill chips he had. The door was unlocked and inside, Hink lifts her hands helplessly. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Seeing his inability to continue, Ip takes over. Inside looked like a bad horror sim, just like all the other murders. It had to have happened after sundown, because I saw his shop was open when I was on my way to get some noodles for dinner. Why didn't you call the police? The Hong Kong police force isn't welcome here. They have tried to force us out several times before, or come hunting for someone to pin a crime on. We do a lot of favors for local gangs and triads, handle their matrix security, fix up their gear and make sure they have access to the Hong Kong Shadowlands hub. We are too valuable as a resource for them to lose, so they protect us when the HKPF or anyone else decides we are an easy target. They handle our physical security and we make sure to send the message via the matrix. The last time the HKPF made trouble, we started airing the assistant chief dirty laundry over the trit. They got the picture and backed off. Have you made any enemies lately? Nk shrugs helplessly. Not that I can think of. We keep to ourselves. We buy and sell technology. We are not mercenaries or criminals. We are merchants and deckers. And even if someone was cheated in a deal, this kind of response is unthinkable. Whatever did this, it wasn't human. The violence and savagery, it's a monster, whatever it is. Plenty of meta-humans are monsters too. Just because it's horrible doesn't mean it's supernatural. What do the Whampoan elders do? Isabel shouts derisively. They make the rules and kick people out who don't obey them. They're a bunch of petty tyrants, that's what. You're being unfair, Isabel. Our laws are for the good of the community. Tang turns to address you. We keep the Whampoa and its residents safe. We review trade and agreements with outsiders to see if they are good for the community. We provide a guiding vision, like a town council. I can respect that. I'm glad you understand. This community is fragile and the authorities bear us a lot of ill will. A single misstep could spell our end. I am the invoker of sprites, I commune with the spirits of machines, ask them for blessings and pass those blessings on to the people here. I heal the sick and ensure the feng shui of our habitats is as good as it can be, given our confines. She's a shaman, that's all. She's just got some kooky spin on it. Claims her totem is some kind of all-encompassing machine, a god that lives in circuity. Isabel pats the deck, looking at Nk. Ancient gods and ancestors are one thing. My deck, it's mine, I built it. The only spirits it's got in it are the ESPs I loaded up with. Ink gives Isabel a look of deep sadness. Just because you cannot see or touch a thing does not mean that it does not exist. Just because you do not believe in it, it does not mean it does not protect you from afar. I can't touch programs either, but at least I can prove they have an effect on the physical world. Your superstitions are just that, bullshit. Isabel glances at you, jerking a thumb toward Tang. This guy treats drones like they're living things. Is that right? Tang extends his arms, palms up. As you watch, the tattoos therein shift into a complex mathematical formula. I am the first and glorious servo. I study patterns, repair machinery, and teach others how to attune themselves to the wonders of automation. The blessed Autofab is my shop and purview, where we make the drones we use and sell. As for me, I serve as the resplendent voltage spike. Ip smiles crookedly. That means I shoot people who try to screw with us. It's a fancy title for head of security. That's all for now. It might be wise to ask the residents of Whampoa Garden if they've seen or heard anything after you've gone to Tong's Sensory Carnival. They may have seen or heard things that we have not. Good to know. Meet with the Whampoan elders, geschafft. Investigate Tong's Sensory Carnival. Search for the killer in Whampoa Garden. Da ist auch wieder überall genau gar nichts. Speichern wir mal. Wie nennt sich das jetzt hier? Outsider. Kleinen Moment. So. Ja. Dann gehen wir mal wieder raus. Dann dürften hier jetzt wohl neue Türen aufgehen. Tong's Sensory Carnival. Wir sollten aber erst das andere noch besuchen. You better find someplace indoors to sleep. Jan, the streets are dangerous lately. Also anscheinend wieder die absolut einzige Möglichkeit, die man benutzen kann. Porter Lamb at your service. The elders told me that you'd be coming. They tell you about what happened to Tong? Just the basics. Well, nothing's basic about this. I've seen people shot, stabbed, beaten to death. Hell, seen a corpse that was so dry and desiccated I could have sworn a vampire got to it. None of that's got anything on this. Brace yourself and go on in. Tong's Sensory Carnival looks like a scene out of a B-grade slasher sim. The cloying scent of incense hangs thick and pungent in the air, emanating from the small shrine in the corner of the shop. Unfortunately, it does nothing to cover up the reek of death and cluttered blood. Despite the wrecked remnants of Elder Tong littering the floor, the rest of the shop appears to be in good order, at least at first glance. Nothing is broken, tipped over, or otherwise ransacked. As you're about to step further into the room, you glance at the ceiling and walls. The blood from Tong's body isn't just confined to where the remains lie. Drying blood is spread out the walls and ceiling as well. Den haben sie auch schön liegen gelassen da. Tong's body is a ruined mess. The destroyed ruin of his face is barely recognizable, and what is left of his body would best be described as savaged. All of his limbs have been torn off, and a pile of flayed skin lies next to the remnants of the Whampoan elder. The Whampoan clothing has all but been reduced to rags and tissue by cuts and tears, apparently sustained during the flaying. At this point, the only thing holding what's left of his body into a semblance of human form is the hair-thin fiber optics of his cyberware. Gobbet puts a hand over her mouth, speaking in an uncharacteristically serious note. Sweet heaven, Kordanor, I haven't seen anything like that since Auntie Bong tried to stash some crat sticks in a devil's rat's nest. It takes a lot to turn my stomach, but we sure have a winner today. This is seriously messed up. Da könnte man mit Biotech was machen. Leave the body alone. Machen wir das. Moment, könnten wir das jetzt theoretisch immer noch machen? Ja. Tong's ruined characters is as disgusting and mangled as it was before. Flies buzz and swarm around the cooling flesh. Machen wir Biotech mal. Mal speichern, dann schauen wir mal. Biotech habe ich ja schon 2 in Intelligence 3, müssen wir also nur 3 Punkte ausgeben. Examine the body. Spellcasting or conjuring. Aside from the tremendous trauma the body suffered, there's no evidence of a struggle. No subdermal bruising marks the muscles, aside from torque points where the limbs were torn off. The coagulation of blood and the body's lividly marks a time of death between 2 and 4 hours ago. The knife marks seem more methodical than they did at first glance. There's been no care to try and preserve the skin as any kind of whole, but it was removed in a fashion similar to filleting a fish, the path of least resistance. That's more, some edges of the flayed skin are ragged as if cut by a claw rather than sharpened blade. There's also a deep razor-sharp cut to the base of Tong's neck that doesn't match any of the other wounds. His spine has been severed between the 5th and 6th cervical vertebrae. The wound is consistent with a single blow from a sharp-bladed weapon. Given the trauma across the rest of his body, this is almost certainly the first wound he suffered. Seriously? Someone killed him and then just spread his parts all around? That's horrible and disgusting. I'm gonna hold out hope that he didn't feel any pain. Have Gobbet sense the body. You're the boss, man. This is gonna be unpleasant. Gobbet closes her eyes, taking a deep breath. After a moment, she opens them again and makes a strange grunting noise. There's no fear here, Kordanor, no anger either, just this kind of satisfied feeling. Tong never saw it coming, and whoever did it was professional about it. Which is pretty odd, because nobody's professional about eviscerating a body as far as I know. You think it was a hit? I don't know why the killer was after Tong, but it definitely wasn't any kind of mindless creature or even someone who particularly passionate. It was somebody who planned this and executed it and was glad about it. I don't know. It kind of feels like it was just business as usual. Spellcasting or conjuring. Leave the body alone. Jetzt können wir das andere auch noch nehmen. Spellcasting Conjuring, da muss man glaube ich einfach nur einen Punkt reinstecken. Ob das eine jetzt sinnvoll war, bezweifle ich, aber... Dragon Lines Visible, ich habe keine Ahnung, was das sein soll. Na, machen wir einfach ein Spellcasting. Kostet ja nix. Was? Wieso kann ich jetzt nicht mehr? Hä? Vielleicht gilt das als abgeschlossen und da kann man jetzt so oder so nichts mehr machen. Ja. Laden wir halt wieder. Bisschen blöd angezeigt. Outsider, Whampoa Garden, a Carnival of Chrome and Neon. Ja. Bloody wall. The walls are covered in splattered and smeared blood, most of which has hardened into a crusty, congealed paste. Thick tracks of it run laterally. It looks like the blood has been deliberately smeared. Hey Kordo, I don't know a whole lot about science or all that, but I know what blood looks like when it hits a wall. And this isn't natural. Somebody deliberately smeared blood all over these walls. See how it looks like it's got paint trails? That's because somebody used Tong's part, like a brush. So they painted his walls with blood? Why? Do I look like a psychologist to you? Maybe because they are a freak. Maybe they are just one of the sick serial killers that sees their murders as art. I got no clue. All I know is what normal blood looks like on a wall. And this ain't it. Some people have a bad grasp of art. I knew this guy in Kwantung who used to make music out of stray radio static and panic button calls. Called it Crisis Wave. It was awful. Tong's desk drawers are open, and the safe that's built into one side has been opened. There's no sign of tampering, and the green light next to the word unlocked is blinking. Whoever opened the safe did it with a key fob. Inside are several blank cred sticks, but no sign of any with money on them. Looks like someone looted his stash. A guy like this would keep only empty cred sticks in a safe. Would? Keine Ahnung. Tong's bathroom is immaculate and the drains are tiny. Whatever killed him didn't exit through here. Debug the system. Macht ja keinen Unterschied. This is Yamaha 95,000 volt SimSynth, a device for mixing and mastering SimSense chips. Several drive bays are empty and all of the chip jacks are empty. The screen is flashing a repeated error message. Warning, requested files cannot be found. Please return drives to bay and try again. Have Isobel debug the SimSynth. Isobel rattles out some commands on the SimSynth's keyboard, stepping away after a few seconds with a look of satisfaction on her face. There. I put the drive warning on suspend. It's in a diagnostic mode only, though maybe we'll learn something, maybe not. Yamaha SimOS 523 System Diagnostic check. Memory okay, drive error. Assist bus okay, beginning core dump, please wait. The long debug spew that scrolls along the synth's screen is filled with numbers indicating recent files, pay lengths, keyframes and assist peak levels. Based on numbers you're seeing, Tong's SimSynth has been hacked to remove the peak controller levels from the chips he's been burning. The required operation to make BTL chips. The delta wave outputs for these chips push them dangerously into brain burning territory. The file catalog for the high peak BTLs indicate all the files and burned chips should be stored on the missing drives and whatever was in the empty chip jacks. Somebody's cleaned out Tong's BTL stash. So, jetzt haben wir hier alles untersucht. Und jetzt? Jetzt gehen wir wieder raus. Need something else? What do you do around here, Porter? It's a catch-all category, I guess. I work for Elder Ip. It's a bit like being a deputy. I make some people don't break the rules. Protect people who need protecting. Mostly, I just do whatever Ip asks me to. It's a pretty quiet job most days. Today is not one of those days. I also handle a lot of maintenance. I don't actually do the repairs, but I've got most of the keys. It makes it easy to ensure only authorized people get into sensitive places. Electricity goes down, I let in the electrician who fixes the wiring. Toilet's clogged, I let in the drone guy who opens it back up. It looks like somebody went through Tong's things. Has anyone else been inside? Not since I've been here, but before Ip found him? Could have been anybody really. Ip had a key to his place, but the lock's total crap. Anybody half decent at cracking maglocks could have gotten inside. What's missing? His BTLs, hard drives and cred sticks are all missing. Sounds like the killer looted his place to me. All this talk of monsters. Yeah, sure, there are scary things that go bump in the night, but most of the scary bumps I hear are from handguns and gangers. See you later. Something else? Da ist einer, mit dem man reden kann. Zippy! This orc is busily snacking on a steamed bun. As you approach, he wipes off one of his hands and sticks it out toward you. Hey stranger, nice to see you. Zippy Totang at your service. How are you liking Whampoa Garden? Do I know you? We never met before this, but I know exactly who you are. You're my replacement. The elders had me autopsy what was left of Elder Gun and Elder Nakamura after they got ripped apart, but I didn't want to dig any deeper. So since I don't know you and I can smell a Shadowrunner a mile away, you've got to be the outsider that asked to stop the killing. They asked to stop the killings, right? Zippy tilts his head back, obviously pleased at his amateur deduction. Very astute, that's right. Nothing gets by you, does it? See, I have good eyes. A lot of good eyes, actually. If you're in the market of replacements, only slightly used, and they only come from certified donors, I swear. A hearty belly laugh erupts from the orc, and he slaps one of his thighs in elation. Man, I kill myself. Make a joke like that again, maybe I kill you first. Pretty fun, you stand-up comedian, that was awful. Zippy shrugs, grinning wide. I know, I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but all my jokes are terrible. So if you're not a comedian, what are you? I'm one of the trained surgeons around here. I keep the other Whampoans healthy, got to practice down the road. Blind Chen's a pretty good cyberdoc, but he's basically an important specialist and that's it. How'd you end up here? I did my residency back in the UCAS. Could I become a real MD too, if things hadn't gone south for unrelated reasons? Zippy opens his coat, revealing a cyberdeck. He pats it proudly. I also deck a little, but I am better at slicing skin than I see. Whampoa Garden seemed a good fit for me. Das ist doch alles wieder Schwachsinn, eigentlich. Wieso soll man denn über den Quatsch mit ihm reden? You must have a lot of customers. That's the chip truth. I have to change to cover my costs and eat, but it's damn near free service. There's always a wait list, but it's good, honest work. I like helping my neighbors and the community. We all look out for each other. Somebody messes with one of us, they mess with all of us. That kind of community is rare as gold. Those days. How many places have an ethos like us? Not the damn cops, that's for sure. I've lived a lot of places, done my fair share of shadowrunning, but this place is special. It's been a long time since I really felt like anywhere was a real home. Zippy looks off past you, toward the Whampoa garden streets. His expression grows wistful, like he's remembering something from a long time ago. I'm sure I'll move again, but not for a while. I'm not done with the city or these people. So is it fairly peaceful around here? For the most part, other than these killings, we don't have much by way of problems. We do information security for the triads. That makes us fairly impervious to anyone who wants to start trouble. Anyone starts something, we hit them in the matrix, while our triad friends hit them in meat space. Some small time gangs have tried pushing in here before, but they backed off when they figured out they weren't just picking a fight with a Tang and his guys, but with both the Red Dragon and Yellow Lotus. They got the message real quick, what was left of them anyway. Let me ask you about Whampoa Garden. Sure thing, what do you want to know? Alles. What are your thoughts about the murders? There's a sharp intake of breath as Zippy shakes his head. A pretty gruesome business. Gan died from a broken neck, looked like someone had wrenched it around, and his arms and legs were cut off. Some skin flayed away too. Nakamura had his throat ripped out by someone with pretty sharp teeth. At first I thought it was a devil rat, but the teeth marks were all from something with a humanoid jaw. I didn't look at Yetunde. From what I saw at a distance, it was the same story. Didn't see much point, since I'd seen it twice already. As for Tong, from what Porter told me, it was Gan and Nakamura all over again. You take a look at him yet? Yeah, it's the same as you described for the others. Zippy shakes his head sadly. Damn, I like Tong. The BTL business is unsavory. But the man had to eat, and his regular sims were great. Generally, all-around nice guy, friendly with everyone, never had anyone mad at him. There ain't no justice, let me tell ya. It looks like Tong was killed by a blade, not a broken neck or a bite. Zippy recoils, shuddering against the rain. What kind of blade? Was it a knife, a sword, maybe an axe? I don't know, but he was attacked at the back of the neck. I don't like that at all. Zippy shivers, looking very around. This whole affair got me on edge. People dying is nothing new, but the flayed skin? Ugh. After a moment, Zippy composes himself and looks back to you. It sounds possible that whoever's been killing the elders is trying to muddy the waters with all of the blood and gore business. This is the crime of an intelligent, careful killer. Be careful, this investigation might take you somewhere very unpleasant. What can you tell me about the elders? Zippy laughs, shrugging. Well, they're an eclectic bunch, that's for sure. Where to start? Nch's the spiritual leader here. She's the voice of the Whampoans, I guess. A lot of the close friends are really more of followers, since she's something of a priest for some machine spirits. Maybe it's a cultural thing for people who grow up here, but it's never called to me. Still, she makes a damn fine pot of tea. It's the muscle, Ips, the muscle, and has an encyclopedic knowledge of cyber and bioware. Definitely a good guy to have watching your back. Not too friendly, but you know how it is. You get a lot of cyber people start wondering if you'll tear their arms off. Zippy makes a chopping gesture with one hand. He's got moves straight out of Blood Carnival 3, The Reckoning. Terrible movie, but great fight choreography. What about Tang? I don't know much about him, but I think he's got some kinds of fetish for automation. Found him cooing over some trits of automated delivery drones in a warehouse once. He works with drones, has a shop called the Blessed Autofab. He was raving about the efficiency of the movement patterns or something. You already know Tong. Ran Sims BTL's skill chips. Gan used to be the city planner before he had a nervous breakdown and got involved in statistical analysis. Zippy pauses to collect his thoughts. Nakamura came from Fukuoka and was interested in entertainment, Trit mostly. Spent a lot of time analyzing sublimals in ads. Then there was Magpie. She was the chief decker, hot as hell against IC, and built her own hardware. A slightly odd woman, though never met anyone who was quite as shrill or nasty when she was mad. She was mad most of the time. So, Stück Wasser. Tell me more about her. Not much really. Not much to tell really. Zippy shrugs non-committally, what auch immer. Maybe a month ago she just up and disappeared. I went to a shop one day and she just wasn't open. What? Nobody's seen her since. Why would she disappear? No idea. One day she was here, the next poof. At first I thought she was just on vacation, since she had mentioned wanting to see the Kingdom of Hawaii, the Hawaii, someday, but it didn't feel right. She would have at least told me she was leaving. It seems mighty suspicious to me. Nobody else seems to care what happened to her, probably because she pissed them all off so bad. Is there any place you think I should start looking? You might wanna check out her shop. It's all locked up, but the older elders have a spare key. Couldn't hurt to look around, and even though Magpie was always butting heads with the other elders, they wouldn't have any reason not to let you in. What do you mean they were butting heads? Magpie and the others never saw eye to eye. She was contrary for the sake of it. Most of the rest had a grand vision for what they wanted this neighborhood to become. Magpie just wanted to deck. She was only an elder because they needed someone with her matrix jobs. The last big argument was between her, Ip, and Nakamura. It was over something relatively trivial. I think Nakamura wanted to expand the pirate Trit business into the Matrix, and she just absolutely refused. Why did she refuse? She said something about not using up valuable bandwidth for trivial entertainment bullshit. Anyway, it went from there into this rant about how she wasn't going to let Tang expand his drone business any further because it would get too much megacorp attention. They accused her of blocking them just because she could, which is probably true. Lots of screaming. What do you mean blocking them? Everybody needs the Matrix skills for the business to run properly. There are other deckers, me, say, or Mujnebi, but she had the infrastructure. If their project didn't interest her, she wouldn't even give them the time of day. She's a real hardhead about having her time wasted, but she figures if she's not interested in something, it has no value objectively. Kind of a major blind spot if you ask me. Sounds like she was critical. Yes and no, she was, but since she disappeared, Elder Ip's taken over running the Matrix infrastructure. She's not as good as she was, but his experience... He is not as good as she was, but his experience with drones makes him the best candidate. They wouldn't entrust something like that to anyone who wasn't an elder, so there you go. See you later, Zippy. Get the key to Magpie's shop. Ja, kann man mit wem anders reden. Und da ist auch wieder wer frei geworden. Rainbow. Is there anything we can do for you, Kordanor? Why didn't you tell me about Elder Magpie disappearing? Why would we have? Her departure from the Whampoans isn't related to your investigation. It happened before the killings began. I'm certain she's just off sulking somewhere. H's tone is profoundly indifferent. No doubt she'll come waltzing back next month, all full of attitude that life dared to go on without asking her permission. If she does, we'll welcome her back, despite our problems with her behavior. Her skills make her extremely valuable. I've taken her over maintenance of our matrix infrastructure in her absence, but I'm nowhere near her level. The best I can do is ensure nothing breaks down until she returns. I'd like to take a look around her shop. Do you have a key? Charisma 3. Listen, you wanted to... Okay. Yes, but there's a lot of sensitive equipment in there, including our community servers. We don't let anyone who's not in the Whampoan Elders in there. Why would you need to look around there? I guess you don't really need to get in there. Where are we going now? Na toll. Hätte ich mal wieder zwischendurch mal speichern sollen. Das ist jetzt auch schon wieder 20 Minuten her, aber dadurch, dass das alles Gelaber ist, kann ich hier schnell durchklicken. Muss ich natürlich schauen, was ich jetzt da bei Charisma wähle. Da muss ich ja jetzt irgend so eine Etikette wählen. Oder hatte ich hier schon Shadowrunner? Ich glaube, das hatte ich Shadowrunner gewählt und dann wieder geladen, bin ich mir jetzt nicht ganz sicher. Ja, das war das. Aha. Wieder raus. Moment, das war nur Blut, oder? Ja. Jo, Zippy. Bla bla. Get the key, wieder zurück. Na, kann ich mal richtig safe machen, ja. Na, Charisma hatte ich schon 2. Okay, dann können wir das einfach auf 3 setzen. Ich glaube, Shadowrunner hatte ich dann da gewählt. Können wir die mal aussuchen. Oder nicht mal einsehen, was man vorher gewählt hatte. Listen, you wanted me to find a killer. If I'm going to do that, I have to explore every possibility. Very well, take the key and look around. Just don't break anything or shut the servers off. Was there anything else? I'll be going now. Mehr Leute zum Reden! Why Kai Kwok? Welcome, sir. Welcome to Kwok Atelier, home of the finest clothing in Whampoa Garden. I am the owner, Master Tailor Wing Kai Kwok. How may I serve you today? I didn't expect Whampoa Garden to have a tailors in it. Many people don't. There are a mistaken impression that we Whampoans are only interested in technology and the Matrix, but even technologists need clothing, don't they? And many of us gravitate towards lines of work where added protection is required. I myself am a materials scientist as well as a keen follower of fashion trends. What kind of materials science? Fiber related, of course, primarily aramid fibers, graphene composites and dilatants. It affords me a certain unique perspective when designing clothing that is not only beautiful but defensive as well. I specialize in high fashion body armor, similar to the kind of safety kind crafted by SecureTech or Vashon Island, but with much more personal touch. Show me what you have. Halt Rüstung. Ja, schön. Danke, tschüss. Ich meine, ist ja toll, wenn man ganz viele Sachen zum Kämpfen kaufen kann, aber sowieso nie kämpft. This woman sports brilliantly hued hair that shifts colors, scintillating with every passing moment. She's powerfully built, a natural athlete, or someone who works out a great deal. Notably, a large shotgun rests on an arcade cabinet next to her. She averts your short glance as you approach. When she speaks, you note a peculiarly lyrical accent to her voice. Something I can help you with there, friend? You're throwing off me game, and I'm trying to beat my best score. That's some interesting hair you have. Tank War Europe, I haven't seen one of these cabinets in years. The woman's mouth twists up into a wry grin. I mean neither. Managed to find this one near by accident, but I heard the music and thought, hold on there, Rainbow, you know that tune. After a few moments, Rainbow's game is suddenly over, her tank obliterated by a barrage of air-to-ground missiles. She hisses her breath through clenched teeth. Piss on your ma! A right robbery that was! Right then, Rainbow shakes her head again and turns to face you fully. You don't seem like the Whampoans. They're all a mite... They're all a mite Dutch-touched, yeah? Maybe you are too. But you don't advertise it like they do. What's your story? I'm looking into the murders that have been happening. Ah, that's some nasty work. Bodies hacked up, chunks bitten out of them. Make sure you're floated for something big and ugly, that's for certain. Where you're from, I can't place the accent. Born and raised in Dublin, down on the banks of the Liffey. Spent most of me early life there. Working security on sacred spaces, you know. Historical sites or undeveloped land. The green movement was big in those days. It was a bit like being a park ranger, but sure didn't beat some dead-end desk job. Spent a lot of time around County Dublin and Wicklow. I always loved animals, and I found it out being a ranger put me in close with them. It was a good time, yeah? Making sure the budding new species like the boogies and centaurs didn't upset the ecology of Wicklow National Park much. Also keep the nastier bits like the ichthyosaur from running amok across populated areas. What's that? And eat whiskey? Nay, each usage just the word for water, which is how whiskey got its name. It's a cannibal horse, basically. If you never heard of each usage, be glad. It drags you into books to kill you. Sometimes people call them kelpies on account of the water plants they pop out of. Anyway, as I was saying, problem was I started to develop this wee knack. Just a small thing. I keep magic from working even if I'm around. Spells don't go, spirits fall apart, and the paracritters get really feisty, eh? To make things worse, this was around the time Lime O'Connor threw his coup and formed Tirna. With all this fancy talk about elves and ancient magic, it was a bit scandalous to have a woman guarding ancient sites that wasn't just mundane, but also killed magic around her, so I got fired. You're older than Tirna? Bang on! And I don't look a day over 25, do I? Rainbow flexes one arm, grinning widely. I'm Irish, not one of them noggins, pack of punters, the lot of them. Always going on about the ancestral lands and the glory of the past and all that bullshit. I saw them kick dozens of old Irish families off their land just because their ears weren't pointy enough, or they didn't meet some stupid arbitrary criteria of old nobility. It was that kind of thing that brought back the IRR, just like in the bad old days of the Troubles. The Skyvars in the new Till didn't pay for the land they took. They just had a pack of bullies with guns. Rainbow scrunches her face up into a disgusted sneer and mock spits at the ground. I've always been sympathetic to the little guy in a fight. They offered to pay for my help, so I said yes, simple as that, so you became a terrorist. Fair? Don't be so dramatic. They fixed me up with a cyber stitcher and gave me a lot of the kit I've got in me now. In exchange, I got overseas to work for them. Smuggling, running guns, making contacts in Europe. Same kinda shite all revolutionary groups do. Seeing as how me own fam got kicked out of the house, I was glad to do it. I still do work for him these days, but there's a lot of less of it. Lady Day cracked down on dissidents, but good. What are you doing in Whampoa Garden? Me? I'm a bit of a big game hunter these days. I get into strange places, look for some kind of paracritter I've not seen before, and then I put a bullet in it. Only the nasty ones though. No point in hunting a Talis cat or such. It's only things like gargoyles, barcasts and whatnot. All the work I did with them in my youth does a good job keeping me alive. I was out in Jakarta last year, hunting one of them Indonesia vampires. Ich muss mal wieder was trinken. You never heard of them? Call them Penangjalans. Their heads and guts come out of the body cavity, and they fly around like a giant messy pile of pasta. Rainbow bares her teeth and pantomimes floating around. Took me a solid 2 months to track her down, but I did. Once the job was done, I asked myself, okay Rainbow, where the best place in East Asia to find some action? So Hong Kong it was. All the chi way what sits here mean a bigger concentration of odd critters than you'd usually find in the city. Been spending a lot of time down in the storm drains these days. I heard rumors of a rat king down there, where a mess of devil rats get all tied together into some kind of big awful rat beast. Haven't tracked it down yet, but I figure it's only a matter of time, yeah? She pats the barrel of her shotgun affectionately. See you later, Rainbow. Das war wieder ein langes und ein sehr sinnloses Gespräch, würde ich behaupten. Dann müssen wir noch mit dem hier reden. Aber ich sehe schon, die nächste Stunde ist voll, ohne tatsächlich was getan zu haben. Dann schauen wir weiter beim nächsten Mal. Ist schon so ein bisschen anstrengend, muss ich sagen. Bis denn!